Hello students, now we will continue from the fourth paragraph of our chapter Chief Seattle's speech. Students, let's begin from this sentence. Our good father in Washington. Here you underline good father. Actually, good father is an ironic reference to George Washington. Students, before I explain you that why good father is an ironic reference in this context, before that I want to ask you that when you ask your father for something, does your father put forward any condition before you? No, because fathers always do work selflessly. They never put before us any of the conditions. I will explain you why good father is an ironic reference. Before that you should read this. For I presume he is now our father as well as yours, means father of the Red Indians as well as the father of the white men. Since King George has moved his boundaries further north, our great and good father, since King George, here George is a reference of King George III, who has moved his boundaries further north, and their good great father, means referring to George Washington, I say send us word that if we do as he desires. Now here you can understand that George Washington is their good father, will be their good father only when the Red Indians would accept the land treaty. So, as Chief Seattle refers to George Washington as their good father, who promises the natives that if they would do as he desires, who desires as the great chief desires, and what was his desire? To get the land of the Native Americans. Then he will provide them protection. So Seattle says that the white people's brave man will provide them protection from their ancient enemies. And here you will get two names, the Hedders and Tsimshians. Tsimshians and Hedders were the ancient enemies of Native Americans. Now, before that you underline here, his brave warriors will be to us as a bristling wall of strength. Underline this. Now write down the meaning of the bristling wall. Bristling wall refers to the vigorous, vigorous, vigorous and energetic white people's brave men who will provide them strength and will protect them from their ancient enemies. Ancient enemies, the Hedders and Tsimshians. And how would they stop? How would these enemies cease, means stop, to frighten the women, children and old men of the Native Americans? When the white chief's brave men will protect the natives with their ships, with their strength, and their ships would fill their harbors, the Hedders and Tsimshians would cease to frighten the native people's women, children and the old men. Then in reality he would be the father of the Native Americans and they would be his children. Then now here suddenly in Chief Seattle's mind, here with this question you will find that a sudden fear strike in the mind of Chief Seattle. And what type of fear? That the God of white people is not their God. Why this question arises in his mind? Because he loves only his people. he makes the pale face stronger and has forsaken his red children. From this context, how would Chief Seattle prove that white man's God was different from theirs? Actually, Seattle felt that the God of different races was also different. White's God loved his people only and hated Seattle's tribe. He folded his strong protecting arms lovingly about the pale face. Here you can see everywhere capital H has been used. This capital H is used for God, God of the white man who only love the pale-faced people and led them by hand as a father led an infant son. So here I request you students, you read the stanza paragraph properly line by line. Now, their God made his people wax stronger. Here you can get this word wax stronger means to become more strong, or you can say to become stronger every day. Students, everywhere in this paragraph you will see that Seattle has put forward a question that how different God is to both the races, because if they would have the same God, a common God, then he would never have been partial. He would have been impartial. He would love and shower blessings over the people of both the tribe. He would not favor only a particular race or tribe and would give strength and punishments to the deserved ones regardless of his race and on being judged by his deeds. So everywhere in this paragraph we will see that Seattle has said that the white man's God cannot love our people or he would protect them. They seem to be orphans. Now here Chief Seattle has said themselves, the tribe of the Native Americans, to be orphans. Now again a question is there that why the natives are called orphans? Seattle remarks that his people were reducing in number rapidly like the receding tide. You can see here one comparison has been made. It's a metaphor like receding tide that will never return. The white man's God was indifferent toward the red Indians. He had no sympathy for his red children. He did not protect them from enemies. They were like orphans in the vast world. So, how could they be brothers when one race got so much of support and benefits and the other was forsaken? Here you can see that it is given that if we have a common heavenly father, he must be partial. He would never be impartial. So, the white man's God had no word for his red children, whose teeming multitude, teeming means a large number of people, teeming multitude means a large number of people, once filled this vast continent. Again he recalled that once a day was there, time was there when the continent was filled with red Indians. That means many people were there as stars fill the firmament. Firmament means sky. Then again he says, no, he denied that they can never be the brothers. They can never be the children of the same God. You can see we are two distinct races with separate origins and separate destinies. There is little in common between us. This line is very, very important, students, underline. Now, two distinct races refers to the Native Americans and the white colonists. Means Native Americans, the natives' origin is the American land that is being contested. Contested here you can say grabbed by the powerful white men. the white men here originally belonged to Europe, who came and colonized these Native Americans. Now, their destinies are different, means the natives are decreasing in number, declining, receding every day, while the whites are like the grass that covers vast prairies, means they are countless in number. They are many in number. Students, I hope that this paragraph is clear to you. Please go through this paragraph and I shall continue in my next video. Thank you.